welcome to the Zelda podcast, the second part of our two-part Switch series. If you haven't watched the first part, we'll chuck the description below. There's obviously no real order you should watch it in, but
After that amazing musical introduction from Seanacus, this is Beazley.
And obviously Seanacus, because he said it about 3 seconds ago.
So we're going to talk a bit about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because that's been out, coming up 48 hours. We've both had a chance to play it. I think I've played more than what Sean has.
Yeah, I played about 5 to 6 hours, I'd say.
Oh yeah, I've played more. Yeah, it's consumed every aspect of my life. So yeah, right off the bat, it's getting amazing scores and everywhere.
More importantly, it's getting well-deserved amazing scores.
Oh look, and I was going to say, I mean, there's been some. It's going to be compared to another release that's happened in the last couple of days with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes.
2 different games, and that's we're not going to talk about that game because I haven't played it.
And I also haven't played it.
Okay, well there you go. So we can't talk about it.
We can talk about it.
Very similar in concept games, but I mean, look, Zelda has always scored well, and sometimes I think it may be a little high scored on things. In this case, not at all. It's innovative.
Yeah.
That's the first word that came to my mind, is that after 30 years of this franchise, it's like they've kept the soul of it, but hit the reset button.
Yeah.
It is open world, but it's not empty open world.
The best thing, guy. Okay, there's so many things that we can say about this game, because only after playing 5-6 hours of it, the feel that you get for the game is man, you become a child again. Because obviously you've played the first Zelda. The first Zelda games? You've played all of them.
Yeah. I've played practically every Zelda game that ever existed.
What was the first Zelda game you played?
First Zelda game I played. God. Oh, actually no. I can actually say this because I'm old. I think I played the first or the second Zelda first.
The first Zelda was the first ever Zelda.
But I played it around the time it had launched here, because there was a bit of a launch gap. That was back when games came out, a couple of years after they came out in Japan.
Yeah.
And I guess that was the open world feel at that time, especially for the first game.
Yeah.
It was huge, and you basically were thrown in, and that was it.
That's that, and which is. I mean, obviously there's a structure to the game, as games these days do need structure, because if they did the same thing where they just threw you in and didn't tell you where to go.
Structured without having someone holding your hand.
Exactly.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, the companions in previous Zelda games have been iconic. We're talking Navi, we're talking
King of Redlands.
I knew you were going to go there. We're not going there. And then you're talking Midna, who I can't stand, but anyway. And then Fi from Skyward Sword. So that they've become iconic characters, but their actual structure, what they are, and their concept is basically to hold your hand, and it does become excessive. I like the fact that yes, I'm playing a Zelda game, but I'm allowed to do what I want.
Yeah. The feel of this Zelda game is so anyone who's ever played a Zelda game before, this Zelda game is, you can play it if you've played Zelda games before, and you can play it if you've never played a Zelda game before. And the thing is, if you've ever played a Zelda game before, you jump into this game and you just this amazing excitement just burns inside of you the second you turn it on. The first time you step out into the world, obviously there's this intro part where you're this is kind of cool, but then the world is just the second it's thrown in your face, and these amazing bright colors and everything. It's
an interesting art style. I find it's not quite as it's not quite as bright as Skyward Sword. It's a sort of a cross between Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. It's not cartoony, but it's not realistic. It's a lovely art, and I've loved the art style right from the word go. When we first seen that initial little trailer
and it's gonna hurt you, but I'm gonna say that the art style is very similar to Wind Waker in the color aspect.
The color palette, yeah.
And it's kind of like, because obviously it does have that cartoony feel, and it's got that like cartoony chic to it. But then, chic.
They take it. That it's somewhere. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not as cartoony as Wind Waker. And it's not as, because Skyward Sword was a weird sort of cartoony artistic style as well, which I love the style of that one. So that it hasn't taken away from it. It still feels realistic, even though it's got a cartoony style to it.
Yeah.
What I also liked about it was that there wasn't a great deal of intro at the start. It sort of went straight into it. I loved the voice acting, which I was really concerned about.
I was also very worried.
But it's beautifully done. It's the cutscenes are done that I've seen, and they're few and far between. But they're effective. Have been fantastic. Some of the characters that I've already met are memorable. But that initial moment, because basically, all right. So at this point, there is a Let's Watch that's already gone up on the YouTube channel if you haven't seen it, which is myself playing, and I hadn't actually played it at that point. So that's my genuine, honest to God reaction to that game. It was me and Curtis, who has never played a Zelda game. So it was from two very different perspectives. Me being as I've said in the description of that video, the self-proclaimed world's biggest Zelda fan, to Curtis, who knows of Zelda, obviously. I mean, you can't not love the video game industry and not know what Zelda is.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't make any sense. And seeing his reaction, and the amazing thing in that was they were both very similar.
Yeah. Which brings back to So like
it was just that awe-inspiring moment of just look at it. Yeah. It's expansive, and everyone's concern with the game was, all right, it's going to be expansive, it's going to be huge. Is there content in it?
Yeah.
There's never a dull moment. You could be walking through a paddock, walking through a plane, and something will jump up, or something catches your eye, or you think, there's some apples in a tree, and you can go chop the tree down, or set fire to the grass, and all those things they hyping up in the lead up genuinely are there. You can do this stuff.
Yeah, and
more or less 99% of the whole, whether it's a tree, a flower, a rock, or whatever, is interactive. It's breakable. It's movable. So it's
an interactive world, and they promised us a world of Zelda where you could experience everything in the Zelda, and you can.
Oh, exactly.
Like that's
Nintendo. We'll go into a bit more detail, breaking some stuff down. But if I had to say right now, if I was talking to someone right now who had not played the game and was interested in knowing, I would say it is the most definitive Zelda game ever released. And that's high praise, even from this initial point. Ocarina of Time has been what has been defined as the definitive game. That was innovative at its time. But I think Nintendo have finally hit...
Breath of the Wild is the Zelda game this generation needs.
Yes.
Like, I feel like obviously they've been I wouldn't say they've been riding on the success of Ocarina of Time, because all the other games after that have been they've been great.
There's been some fantastic ones. I mean, my favourite game, well, I can't include Breath of the Wild because I haven't played enough of it, is Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And that one's universally controversial. Some people absolutely love it, and some people absolutely hate it. And it's the same with Twilight Princess, and it's the same with Wind Waker. Ocarina, I think, gets a lot of hate. Only not because the game's bad. I think it's because
it has been.
It's held that position for such a long time.
And to be honest, it is outdated. But now that the Switch is out and Breath of the Wild is out, the Zelda the series has just got this beautiful love child.
It's familiar.
Yeah.
But it's exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exciting. There's no other way to describe it. It's exciting.
Yeah.
We've all... I'm playing it on Switch. You're playing it on Switch. Maddie's playing it on Switch. Kyle, who doesn't own a Wii U or a Switch, has bought a copy for the Wii U for Matt's console and is playing it on Wii U. We may or may not. I'm not going to promise anything because I'm not organising this one. So if I say something, I'm going to do it. So we may or may not put a video up with a small comparison between the Wii U's quality and the Switch's quality. I don't know. It depends on if we have time, because we've got so much content we want to put out about the Switch this week.
Yeah.
but it's exciting, and it even on the Wii U. Like, I hadn't played the Switch at the Switch version at the time. I did briefly see a glimpse of Kyle playing it.
Yeah.
And it looked breathtaking on that. And considering that's running at, I believe, 720p, and I think on the handheld it's only 480p.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on those. Specs, I always get the numbers all around the wrong way. It looked breathtaking in that. And that I was excited. I'm like, if this is what it looks like in that, what's it going to look like when even in playing it in handheld mode, it wasn't going to look like on the Switch. So when we did the Let's Watch, Curtis and I, instead of playing it in our dedicated Let's Play area, we actually set up in the lounge.
Yeah.
Because I have a 55-inch TV, and I wanted to put it on that because, and it's breathtaking. Like, it is stunning. And that moment of just walking out onto that cliff is the definitive moment at the moment in my head of where you walk out and it's just like there.
Which that again,
like, it gives you goosebumps. It's one of those moments.
The same thing happened with me. Like, it was the most exciting thing because like I was playing again on my TV at home, like using the family lounge, and that's got like a 4K TV, and like that was pretty much the thing it's around the same size. I think it's 5 inches as well.
Yep.
And with a 4K TV, the thing is when you want to play a game like that on a 4K TV, and because I never really said anything about 4K support, I was like, all right, if you're going to be playing on this really high quality like new TV, and I turned it on, and it was like I literally just you walk out, and then I was just like sitting there like, it's so pretty.
I think that's the word. I don't know if pretty was the word I used, but I kept saying the same thing in the Let's Watch. I kept going, this is just gorgeous, or this is amazing, or and it's just, there's so many things like. It also, like, even though it doesn't tell you to do these things, there's so much encouragement of, all right, I've got a sword. What can I do with it? I can chop a tree down with it. I can throw it. I can, So there's this exploration. Oh, hang on. There's fire. Oh, I can burn the grass. Set fire to things,
And because the fire is actually another thing which I was like, I absolutely loved because. Again, when the environmental effects and the sound effects and all those like
rain, wind, like
those little things that they've added,
dynamic.
The dynamics of the game have just like they've just added this massive like spectre to it.
Well, it's the first time in a Zelda game, that's had dynamic weather. Yeah. There's temperature.
Yeah, the temperature thing.
There's a sound icon. When you're sneaking, there's stealth. Yeah. There is stealth in a Zelda game. Like, I never thought I'd see the day that there would be actual, genuine stealth.
And that's the thing again. I was going to say that they've added these things in a Zelda game that you never knew, you wanted. But then the second you have them, you don't know how you live without them.
Because a really prime example was to explain the how open everyone's approach can be. Like, my approach will be completely different to Matt's approach. We were both heading for one of the shrines, right? Yeah. Two separate experiences. Didn't even know we were playing at the same point, right? Up on an icy hill mountain thing,
up
right?
on the same one.
So, there's two ways about it. Matt went and got a coat. He had to. I think he had to exchange something to get this coat. And it was warm enough that you could go up the hill without any problems. I didn't know about the coat.
I didn't know about the coat either.
So my mind went, all right, I'm going to die of, obviously it's hypothermia or whatever, in Zelda mythology.
Just Link being too cool.
Ice cold. So you kind of, it's like, all right, what can I do? Wonder if I light a stick or a torch on fire and carry it with me up the hill. Will that keep me warm enough? And it did. But Matt and I didn't know that.
See, I did a completely different way. So I found out about that. And then as I entered the area, I found these red hot chili peppers.
Oh!
So what I did is I found those, and then I went back to a cooking spot.
And you made...
I cooked up some food, and then it gave me heat resistance for 12 minutes. So I had to 12... So you guys didn't even have a time limit. You were just I'll just set a fire and walk up the hill. And I'm just like, I'm running. I'm just I do not know how quickly I'm going to be able to get up to this hill.
Is that... Oh, wow. See, I never thought of that. I didn't think to... I knew I had chilies, but I never thought of that. See, this was not pre-planned, I assure you. That shows how just... Everyone's experience in that game can be totally different. One shrine, the exact same shrine, approached 3 different ways to overcome the cold weather. I didn't know there was a coat
Yeah.
I knew there was a hot chili pepper, but I didn't know that would be enough to sway it off. But I thought the first thing that came to my mind was lighting something on fire and carrying it with me.
I knew that you could get heat-resistant clothing, but I didn't think... I mean, heat-resistant, cold-resistant clothing.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, I haven't found it anywhere. Obviously, they would have made it easy enough to find. So then, so that's blown my mind. That's so cool. And I mean, that's what this game is about. And I've played it for, I'm going to say 10 hours, give or take. Yeah.
Matt's probably played a bit more than me, because I've been video editing and whatever else in between all of this. And it's like, I don't feel like I've done anything towards the actual main quest line. Yeah. I've done little things that keep progressing me along, but I get distracted and go, oh, what if I go to look at this, or I go to that, or there's someone, I'll talk to them, or, they'll give you a side quest, or, oh, this is to get a piece of art, or, and I feel like opening a chest in this game, like Ocarina is a prime example. You going into, let's say, the water temple, you get to a certain room, there's a chest, and it's got the hook shot in it.
Yeah.
None of that happens in this game. You go to a chest, and it's like, it's random. You could get an amazing piece of armor or some food or, just something.
Exactly. Just something which will help you in some way.
Exactly. It's every chest is something different.
And that's another cool thing which I found is that I obviously won't try and spoil anything, but the fact that there are these ability things that you get, and they just give them to you in the first area, and then it's like, they don't really show that there's anything else to unlock, and I'm like, that is just one of the coolest things.
What I also like about it is, without going into, and we don't want to be spoilery, and this won't be spoilery, is that, so obviously one of the objectives is go to find all these different shrines, and they're hidden all over the place. They're not, well, all right, lack of a better term, it's not hidden, it's just in different areas, major different terrains and things, or they're, off somewhere where you got to get something do something to get to them.
Yeah.
Now, they're sort of I won't say replacement for dungeons, but they're kind of in lieu of dungeons. And I love it because they're short but quirky experiences. They're somewhat challenging, some of them.
They puzzle you. And
I walked into one and it took me 10 minutes to actually work out what the hell I was doing because I was just moving stuff around going, I can't get to where I need to go. Yeah. Some of the other ones I can get my head around this, and some weren't. And that was the beauty of it. It was like, but it wasn't, you weren't walking in there going, I'm going to be stuck here for the next 20 hours like you do in a dungeon on other Zelda games and even on other games in general. It was that moment of like, all right, it's a puzzle. It's making you think, but then it's like, once you complete it, you can walk back outside and go, all right, where am I going now? Where do I want to go? Do I want to go that direction or that direction? You didn't feel trapped. And I think that's what the beauty of this game is. It's that, yes, it is. You can define how you approach the game.
Yeah.
For someone who collects things like Matt plays games, as you know, that he's 100% person. He wants to get everything. He wants to unlock everything. He wants to... it's not to a point that you can keep track of stuff. I love the fact that the quest lines, if you open a new quest line, it's there and it will tell you what you're meant to be doing without telling you exactly what you got to do. It's like you're meant to be going to meet so and so, or you're meant to be collecting this, or you need this to move to this area or whatever. But it doesn't go, walk forward, go left. Oh, you're going in the wrong direction. It's just like find it.
Yeah.
But there's still the elements of... I love the leveling system for the weapons. I love the fact that you've got to eat and you can cook stuff and make stuff that does, different abilities or improves, as you did with your chili soup or whatever it was. It was like... That's improved so you can survive the cold. I'm sure there's water ones, breathing ones, stealth ones, stamina, there's all sorts of just things you can adjust by just doing this stuff.
Link feels like your own character and you can play him in your own way.
Which is ironic though. Because it's the first time that you don't name your character. He is Link.
Yeah.
He is the Link.
And I think that's what they've done smart, is because I feel like the fact they've called him, if they let you call him whatever you wanted to call him, obviously they wouldn't be able to do his name in the cutscene, which doesn't matter too much. But I feel like if you did that and then you got to play him as your own character, you'd be like, oh, this is just a generic RPG game where I can do everything. But the fact that it's Link and you get to play Link as you play, it just gives you this feeling, which is like...
And I was really excited because this won't spoil anything because it was shown off on so many different videos, that Nintendo put out and other places had put out, and it was like, walking out and you see the old man walking down the hill and whatever, and then you look over to your right and there's the Temple of Time. Sure, it's crumbled and falling apart and whatever else.
Yeah.
But it's instantly, that's the Temple of Time.
Yeah.
So you're instantly connected with going, this has got backstory. This has got history. This is, something has happened here.
Yeah.
You want to know what happened.
Exactly. And it's...
and that's the whole point in this game, is
and
you want to find out what happened 100 years ago.
Exactly.
That is fantastic.
And it gives you this feeling where it's like, I want to find out what's happened to this. Like, I want to follow this storyline. I want to know what this like Legend of Zelda story is going to bring me for the future. I want to explore and find out what's happened to Hyrule. And it's like, I want to explore this breathing, living world.
I want to find parts from other games, as in like Kakariko Village or Death Mountain, or
even the Ritos are in there at some point.
Exactly, yeah. And the Zoras and the Gorons. Yes, I don't want them to rehash over things, obviously, but I do want those elements. But it's exciting because you're going,
from the get-go,
do they still exist?
Yeah.
Or what form do they still exist? Or has something happened to them? Do we get to find out their history?
Yeah.
What happened?
Exactly.
Like, you genuinely want to know what happened. And you
Yeah.
find these little pieces. I found something, I won't say what it is, from Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And I just went, oh my God. Like, that was in Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
You know, so there are those moments of going, I love the timeline. I love the Zelda timeline. And I think that was an amazing thing that they introduced a few years ago. I'm not tied up enough that I want, where does it fit? But I am curious. I am curious to see, where does this game actually fit? Is it pre-Skyward Sword? Is it after Skyward Sword? Is it, is it or is it a whole new timeline? Or is it something that's going to bring, which is one of the rumors, all the timelines back together at a singular point, like where Ocarina divided it. Like, it's one of those situations where I want to know, but it doesn't define my gaming experience with this. Yeah. Like, you could spend hours just wandering around, collecting stuff and finding stuff and working out the dynamics and working out what it does. I mean, another interesting thing that I like how they've approached is Nintendo's been notorious. I love amiibos, but they haven't done a lot for me on, like, I've got the whole Smash Brothers collection, and I look at that collection and go, I've spent some exorbitant amount of money on that. I even built a shelf for it, which, that's why I'm pointing over there. And it's like, they don't do much. These help you unlock things. Every day you can scan them, and you'll get, some of them give you food and a chest, or some of them give you things to make potions and things or whatever, and a chest, but they give you a chest and that, and you unlock the chest. And it's the same thing if you find a chest in the wild. It will give you a random piece of equipment or whatever. I love that. I think that's fantastic. I don't think it takes away from the overall experience. But also, it's not exclusive to those things either. You can find this stuff in the game.
And that is like one of the coolest things that I found is like with the amiibos. Like, I personally haven't really used, like, I haven't actually scanned my amiibos in, but I was talking to Matt earlier and he was telling me about all these different things which he's found. And it's like, and that's the cool thing, is because you don't, like, obviously it gives you that slight advantage if you've got the amiibos, but it's like, if you just have enough money to buy Zelda, you can just play
exactly.
Zelda.
It's not something that's mandatory for you to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
And all Zelda amiibos work. The Smash Bros. Zelda amiibos work. The ones for the 30th anniversary of the game work.
Yeah.
The 8-bit one works. Whatever other ones they've released,
Pretty much every amiibo which is Zelda
I haven't used it, but Matt has. Wolf Link.
Yeah.
From Twilight Princess works, and you get him as a companion. That's not a spoiler because that's already been announced as well. That's what I mean. The interactivity with the amiibo works brilliantly with Breath of the Wild. The other thing I want to just touch on as well is that they're going to do a season pass. There has been some there is a season pass. I think you can. It's either coming out very shortly or it's already out. Whatever's come out there is that there's going to be a couple of little things you get from it, and then there's going to be an additional part to the story or further on from the story or whatever it is in a few months' time. Yeah. I like that. I like the approach that Nintendo have had with their DLC on everything they've done. It's something new to them, but they've nailed it.
Yeah.
I hate pointless DLC.
So the thing with, so it comes back to DLC, and then people being like, oh, why are you putting DLC in my Zelda game? Well, like, first of all, the game's big enough, you don't have to buy the DLC.
No.
If you don't want to buy the DLC, then just don't. Who cares?
I don't think their season pass is overly expensive either.
And The other thing is, like, yeah, so they'll obviously be adding really good things to it. And it's like, the thing is, people, again, have this thing of, like, if they complain about something that happens, it's like, every other game does DLC. Like, every other company does DLC.
A prime example I can think of a DLC where it's been infuriating, but I have bought it because it's an essential part of that game is Destiny, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they kept bringing out what they call expansions, but it's DLC. And it was adding to the story, and it was imperative that you bought this DLC for the most part because it was continually adding to the story. And it's like, whereas yes, this next bit of the season pass for Zelda will be some DLC, and it's tied to the story somehow. And I think it's an extra dungeon or shrine or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah.
But it's not essential for the main game, and that's what I like about it. And it's even with some of their other DLC, it's like you don't have to buy it. To be able to enjoy it. And a lot of the Smash Bros DLC and that they've done as well, and any of the other DLC they haven't actually developed that until the point they were ready to release the base game.
Yeah.
Meaning that they haven't gone in and go, if we break all these parts up, then we can make more money out of it. That's not been their approach.
No, which like I was going to say before, is. Yeah, because like Nintendo's never really done DLC with the games before. They've always done like a little bit with Mario Kart and stuff like that.
Mario Kart,
but then the thing is that people have this thing where it's like, if you give people things and they're very like, they're grateful, but they're never. But the second Nintendo does it, that like somebody who's never done it before, the second you take something away from people, they're gonna have a whinge.
Oh, exactly.
So that's the only real reason I think it's getting backlash, which I think is ridiculous. So,
I'll be curious to see if there's any online interactivity with Breath of the Wild. I don't think there'll be an awful lot. Maybe some stuff you can share with friends and stuff.
I think it's because the Legend of Zelda games, as they've always been, have been like a solo experience.
Yeah.
It's something that you play.
There's
like you can have friends around. Like I remember, like, you know, hanging out with friends and being like, oh, well, we'll play Zelda together. We'll just take turns whenever somebody dies, or we get to another dungeon.
Yeah,
but it's a single player experience, and obviously, if there are other games which come out, or if they somehow incorporate it in a good way, then I have no issue with that. But at this point, I see it as just like.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I could see them potentially doing it is if it's some sort of, you can do multiplayer online exploration type stuff because of how expansive the world is.
Yeah, true.
But I don't want it to be to the point that it ends up being something like a GTA or that, where it's, you know, they're always in your game and they're doing stuff while you're trying to do stuff, because it's not the right kind of game for it.
Yeah, 100%.
In saying that, I also think that, you know, even if it's just sharing the experiences like that, Nintendo's been pretty good with that since they've had their online systems in other things. That's been one thing they've always wanted to do, and then that's perfectly fine. I didn't touch on it too much in the other little podcasty thing we did for the Switch itself, but their online system pricing is not expensive on any level. I mean, it's not even close to what we pay for Xbox Live and the PSN or PlayStation Plus. It's like, that's so expensive. So, you know, I think it's realistic, but you know, overall, my initial thoughts on, and I might be biased because I love Zelda in general. It's deserving of the scores it's getting. It's groundbreaking. I would love to see it, like, at this point, based on, I know we're only in early March or whatever, based on this year's releases thus far, it's easily in contention for Game of the Year. Depends on what else comes out this year. It's going to be a big year in games in general, but I wouldn't say, if I got to the end of the year and they said Breath of the Wild's won Game of the Year, I wouldn't feel shafted by that. I wouldn't feel, you know.
I would not be surprised. Like, it is just like we've waited this long for the main thing, and this is what I just want to close on, is the main thing is we've waited so long for this Zelda game. Like, there was the 2013 E3 demo, was it? 2013?
This game, this game was in development before Skyward Sword, but it was announced a few years ago.
The tech demo was like quite a few years ago, and like ever since then we've been waiting and waiting for this awesome new Zelda game. And now that we've got it, and the fact that it's not only living up to expectations, but it's exceeded it, makes the fact, like, just makes this Zelda game one of the
It does show that when Nintendo puts their mind to a piece of software, they can create something magic.
Exactly, and you can tell they care about this. You can tell that they care so much about Breath of the Wild, and it is just the greatest.
It's a credit to anyone who's worked on that game or any of the games over the years. I mean, Anuma.
Yeah, Numa is like
he's taken a big step back, as in like he's still there. Like he's still there, and he will still be there until he loves making Zelda games, and he's said that he's got no intention of leaving the series anytime soon. But he has to. He's also realised that, and I think this has been the first game where they've introduced a lot of new staff. Because it's given them the ability to bring new things to the table, and I think it's worked brilliantly. Nintendo is currently bringing a lot of new younger faces in with people like Anuma and Miyamata. God, I nearly swallowed my tongue. Shigeru.
Yeah, but that's all, folks.
My good friend Shigeru. And, any other... I'm trying to think of the guy who does Pokemon and all of those. All the ones that have been there from the day one are now taking on like this sort of mentor role. Yeah. Still driving the ship, but giving the freedom for these new people to develop.
Exactly.
And that's exciting. So it'll be interesting to see what the next big game from... or big brand new game, because I don't consider Mario Kart 8, obviously, that's a new release, but it's not a new game. So the next thing would probably be Super Mario Odyssey. So I'm sure we'll talk about that, because that's going to be that looks groundbreaking as well. So that might be our next special, thing, unless something comes out. Oh, Splatoon 2, yeah, that's coming too. So anyway, but no, Zelda Breath of the Wild. My final verdict is amazing, and it is a 10. I can't not say it is the definitive 10. It's up there with games like Last of Us, and it's up there with games like the original, Ocarina of Time. All of those. It's groundbreaking. It's breathtaking. It's immersive. It's fantastic. It brings all the fantastic elements into one complete and amazing package that if you're a gamer, you should be excited to play.
Yeah. And and I'll touch back on it, just say, if you haven't played a Zelda game before, buy Breath of the Wild. If you haven't played a Zelda game before,
buy Breath of the Wild. And if you don't have a Switch and you've got a Wii U, buy Breath of the Wild. It's not a substitute. It's not a half game. It's exactly the same game. It does look high resolution on the Switch, but overall, it's still an amazing experience.
You will not be disappointed.
You won't regret it.
Yeah.
And if you don't own either of those consoles to get it, but even if the Wii U has finished production, you would be able to pick up a Wii U at a reasonable price now and buy Breath of the Wild. It's worth it. And I've got all the faith in the new system for the Switch as well. Buy a Switch, buy Breath of the Wild. Like, this is not us selling it for Nintendo. This is us selling it as video game players, enthusiasts. I was going to say that, like, God, that sounds really... But no, it's an amazing experience, and it's one of those definitive moments in gaming history where you need to have a look and experience what that game is bringing to the table.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time to be a Nintendo fan and a video game fan.
It's a more exciting time to be a Zelda fan.
And Zelda. Oh, look, Zelda. Oh, don't get me started. Definitely. The reviews are accurate. So, anyway, this has been Beazley, Seanacus,
and
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And watch the Let's Watch. And don't forget to like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, which is at Enter Diversion. He's so it's time to go because he's packing everything up. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Unless it's negative about Legend of Zelda, then you can kill yourself.
If you're going to just bash Legend of Zelda, go for it. You just won't get a response.
You'll get a response, but it'll probably be a strongly worded email from Beazley.
I'll send you a strongly worded email. No, So we may do more of these kind of videos for big releases and that. But yeah, this was a really easy thing to talk about because it's breathtaking. So... breathtaking.
You said it like 4 times.
It's breathtaking. All right. All right. Yep. On that note.